him is now kicking off. Gala is just about to die. Gala just gets taken down. Haru's running rampant over here over JDG's dead bodies.
And Haru trying to one-up Junhao in the X Games mode fearless factor that Thunder Talk have been putting on display here.
Lee Sin AFK luôn.
Realm warp into 3, it does not matter. Keshi now being aggressed onto by Xiaosu. He's trying to look for a desperation play, but does get out. Baron going to be secured here for Thunder Talk. 2 members down for JDG. And Mazel, are you not entertained, my friend?
Hell yes, the TT story continues to thrive. Almost 8,000 gold up over the second.
Mày đánh Lee Sin game AFK luôn chịu.
And Haru just stood in front of Junja and said, "You shall not pass."
I love this positioning from Haru. Like you said, making it impossible for Junja to really get over that wall. And then the Lee Sin is completely sectioned off from the fight. So Haru feels confident to go in 1v3. And he even gets a kill under Gala. That is just ultimate aura moment.
Em ở bên kia bị sập khóa kênh luôn.
This is a player who a lot of people were excited to see come up from the LDL and finally participate in Tier 1 competition, but didn't really get off to a hard start or a hot start. I think him and Keshi really had a difficult time when they initially landed in Split 1 here for 2026, Mazel, but over the course of time, over the last 2 splits, I feel have really come into their own, and we saw that come to fruition in the play-ins. We have seen it come through in this game.
Sập luôn anh em, sập 2 gậy luôn. Nói chung là game này cảm thấy hơi sốc bởi vì con Lee Sin thôi. Lee Sin game này đánh lỏ quá, Lee Sin gần như là AFK game. Lee Sin nó mạnh mà, Lee Sin nó mạnh khoản đánh nhau chứ là đâu yếu đâu, sao nhìn nó khổ vậy.
Now looking to take down Junja down a peg again. They're in the side lane with the Baron buff. Still have a minute and 30 with that buff up. Can really do some permanent damage here as Haru tries to go for the bounce of the Breath of Life to get them away. But that is some serious damage done. And this comp is so deadly in a siege.
Hành quyết công khai.
Looking for an ultimate there to start something up.
Dude, Gala just can't do anything.
Yeah, you're too short-ranged. I'm sorry. And I mean, look on mid lane as well. Keshi is pushing onto the tier 2 in mid, so it's not going to be just 1 turret claimed. It's going to likely be 2 as well. JDG are being pulled apart, split from one another, and Thunder Talk now
end game mẹ đánh 24 phút end game mấy thằng Jin Đông vãi nổi.
On an island, and that island has been sunk to the bottom of the ocean by TT as they look to pound in this inhib turret and take down the inhib potentially as well. Still 45 seconds on this.
Game này chắc là thua rồi.
Is lasting a lifetime for the JDG members.
A lifetime and more for JDG for sure. They're trying to fell against the siege.
Tướng Thunder Talk về sau thì nó ngon hơn mà nó còn dẫn tiền này đánh cái gì mà. Lật gì nói. Tại vì chất tướng của Jin Đông xác định từ đầu là phải đánh mạnh ở đoạn đầu game mới level 6 rồi.
What is JDG to a Thunder Talk night as the last turret finally falls. 4 members collapse on the next.
Nói chung là game này thua là bởi vì thua thằng rừng thôi. Thua là bị out thằng rừng thôi. Game này thua là bị out thằng rừng anh em ạ.
Less than 25-minute win for the second seed of Nirvana against the second seed of Ascend. There is no gap between the groups. Let there be no doubt about that. And Mazel, what's crazier to me is even just 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Thunder Talk in terms of relegation, trying to get out of that position.
Rồi chờ bán 2 nha anh em, chờ bán 2.
Trying to continue their year.
Lại gậy gì đầy ối à? Nó lại gậy cộng đồng anh em ạ. Không hiểu YouTube dạo này nó bị làm sao ấy. Em thấy người ta vẫn like mầm có làm sao đâu ta. Em thấy người ta vẫn like mầm mới đâu có làm sao đâu mà em ối like phát là dính luôn nên like phát đi luôn. Like phát đi bụi luôn.
You played 5 best ofs and they were best of 3s. And you come into best of 5s, it looks like you can win every single game and go to MSI. I know it's a little fun and a little bit early, but my God, this team has put together what they wanted. Like, the thing I harken back to is this team is doing it how they want to do it, right? We've seen these style of comps come through time and time again from them so far here in the play-ins and now the playoffs, and they just execute it well.
They really do. And a lot of that credit has to be given over to the mid-jungle. Again, I know we sound like broken records here on the broadcast, but the early
you see how important it is.
Yeah, and I'm
ảo thật đấy anh em ạ. Thề. Ông Lee Sin là ông ấy tàng hình cái nguyên cái game anh em ạ.
as to what he can do with the side lanes.
Ông Lee Sin ông tàng hình nguyên game luôn.
Paired up with Junjia for those aggressive early game jungle invades were completely mitigated in this fight. The Twisted Fate had basically no proactive ultimates that ended up working out. And this is Hongq's premier pick, by the way. This is the ace in the hole for JDG, and it didn't work out. So to see now that Hongq's 2 most played mid laners, Rise and Twisted Fate, are fearless away, that has to feel pretty rough. I assume that JDG were really hoping to get off to an early lead.
Ảo không lươn, ảo thật.
But that got shut down. It never got.
Vấn đề là cái con Lee Sin này nó không đi ganh ở đâu, anh em hiểu không? Con Lee Sin này nó không đi ganh ở đâu luôn. Tại vì pick như này là xác định là Lee Sin với cả TF phải là lòng cốt để đánh cánh rồi, là lòng cốt để đánh ra 2 cánh rồi. Cứ Lee Sin đi đâu thì TF đi đấy. Đánh cánh nào cũng được. Đánh cánh bot nó dễ hơn bởi vì cánh bot bên kia nó đánh cánh bot của bên đánh cánh bot của bọn Thanatok nó dễ hơn á, tại vì cánh bot của bọn Thanatok là chúng nó không có khả năng kiểu như là lính tầm xa như kiểu Rumble 40 tên nữa. Rumble 40 tên nữa nó vẽ cái tầm xa phát nó hết lính nó không đai được, nhưng mà Catlin thì không nha, Catlin nó vẫn đẩy lính được nhưng nó không dễ như vậy. Hơn nữa là sau level 6 là cặp Lucian Milo nó chay nó bật rờ, nó chay 2 con nó bật rờ nó chay là Catlin mới lắc là thua luôn. Thì chỉ cần Lee Sin mới TF vòng xuống phát là chết thôi. Nhưng mà Lee Sin nó không hề cánh bot nha, Lee Sin cũng không hề cánh bot, cũng không hề cánh top luôn. Nói chung là game này đơn thuần là farm xong chết.
They can. And so JDG, they're gonna have to warm up fast because even though it's a best of 5 and you do have 2 more chances to round this game back in your favor, round this series.
Game này con Lee Sin thuần là farm xong chết, không có tác dụng gì.
It does feel pretty bad for JDG because I assume they imagined Thunder Talk would be not this strong. Frankly, Mazel, I don't know how you were feeling going into the series, but I think we could maybe join them in that sentiment. We assumed JDG would be favored, but Thunder Talk being able to come out to a dominant game 1 win, that wasn't on our bingo card.
Got to give a shout out as well. Fastest game of the play-ins so far. It's technically like the play-ins are different than the playoffs, but it was just about 9 seconds faster than the Weibo LGD series game that was like 25-57. So hey, some quick gameplay from TT taking down the 2nd seed, by the way. The 2nd seed, I said that correctly, of the playoffs here in JDG. I do expect JDG to have some sort of bounce back, some sort of answer, some sort of comfort to really rely on here.
Yeah, we talk about the comfort picks being denied from Hongq with the Twisted Fate and Rise being fearless away, but there's still plenty of things in the back pocket.
Ok, chào game 2 anh em ơi.
We had an entire graphic about the crazy technology that could come through from the top laner in Xiaosu for the top side of JDG. So maybe we'll see some of that. I imagine Tabe is like, you know, he's like a card master in one of those TV anime shows where he is like, I do not want to use any of my trick cards this early on in the tournament, right? But then his opponent is like way stronger than he imagined. He's like, oh, you're making me use my trap card this early, unexpected from you.
When does he pull out the 52 pickup?
Yeah, exactly.
He gets so angry, he just throws the cards up in the air.
I know.
And
He just starts like chucking them. Are you able to throw cards like that? I know some individuals aren't actually.
I can't, but he's gonna cosplay Hongq. He's gonna sit there in front of Hongq and start throwing cards at him.
Nói chung là game này em nghĩ là vấn đề nó nằm ở thằng rừng thôi. Cái này thua chủ yếu là thua thằng rừng thôi.
Yeah, and I mean.
Anh em thấy em mối nói thằng Junhao nó ảo có sai không các bạn? Anh em thấy em mối nói thằng Junhao nó ảo có sai không? Ở vòng bảng đánh với mấy thằng kia nha, thằng Junhao đánh nỏ vãi nồi luôn đấy. Nó đánh nhìn buồn cười lắm. Nhưng mà vô vòng playoff anh em nhìn nó đánh kìa. Đánh này là ao rừng rõ làm gì anh em?
Close to relegation in Group Nirvana, fighting tooth and nail to get to their 2nd seed, which was very close in the runnings, by the way, all the way up until the last series of Nirvana was played. We really weren't sure what the standings were going to be. And so for them to not only get 2nd seed in Nirvana, which was a bit of a surprise for us, but then also 3-0 in the play-ins, and now here, game 1 win against JDG. You talk about the momentum, and I can't help but now start to be interested in if Thunder Talk can start propelling themselves forward in this best of 5, how big of a shock that would be.
Oh, you're interested now? Well, so am I, and so is everybody else, because what the hell is this TT team And where were they all split long? This has been insane. And they are the second seed from Group Nirvana, even though it was a very chaotic ending to that group down there. But still, something super important to highlight is this run is real. You can pinch yourself all you want, but this is a TT who is showing up in the right moments. And we got to think about who's going to get an MVP as we move forward here, Quacks.
Yeah, my vote would definitely go over to Junhao. I know. Jungle bias. You can say it all you want. I think him and Haru are the clear favorites to be in the running for that award for game number 1, though. And both equally deserving. I just felt like Junhao, you know, the decision-making to go for the early dragons to kind of instigate these early game fights was on him, and so that is what propelled ThunderTalk forward to get ahead as quickly as they did and also shut down JDG's plan of early game snowballing. So credit over to him for not only making the plan but also executing it very nicely every single time.
Yeah, that's impressive stuff nonetheless. I think it has to be. There were some fun plays elsewhere, but I think it all boils down to some of the setup there at least. But I think that's something else we're going to keep looking at as we move forward here in this series as a whole, which I'm very curious at what JDG's pathway forward is, but that'll be something we talk about a little bit later on. And hopefully we don't have to wait forever to see what MVP gets unleashed for game 1, because this is taking a long time.
I mean, they have a lot to talk about on the actual feed, because I think the whiplash and the realization of, oh my god, the second seed Nirvana team just took a game off the second seed Ascent team. Like, yeah, I'm still trying to process it too. So take all the time you guys need to decide the MVP, because I think getting all of the points across of just how monumental this run for ThunderTalk could be is something that needs to be discussed. And Haru is the guy that wins the MVP for game number 1. Again, thought it could be him or Junhao. Thought it was going to be Jungle, but I still think the Rise should be given a ton of credit. Absolutely gapped Honkyu. And this is, like we said, the second All-Pro mid laner in the LPL. So no small task.
Yeah, no small task indeed. And he's just been carving them up here over the last little bit. I mean, now he's had 2 Rise performances that were insanely good. One against IG and now one here. Just an impressive performance from both that mid-jungle duo. I'm so happy that we decided to kind of highlight them, because they are just so damn impactful on the map itself. But that being said, before we get going here into game number 2, we got to give a huge shout out to all of our coffee supporters. If you'd like to be a coffee supporter, please go check out the link in chat. You can consider becoming a member there. It's the best way to support the LPL English project. It is a project full of passionate volunteers that put a daily contribution on this giant project that we all love so much. And your contributions go directly to paying the volunteers that are a part of this and being able to purchase broadcast upgrades and also fund some of the content that we will have coming out as well in the future with interviews at internationals. And you get also early access to